I think my mom was the one who found out that my dad wasn't right. You know, my dad didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do drugs or anything. Um, so when they first met, she thought that he drank or did drugs, but she later found out that he didn't. So she was trying to find out what was going on. And I think after we reached maybe 10 or 11, after I reached maybe 10 or 11, I remember my mom going to the library on several occasions, and she would come back and we would talk about what was going on in the house. We'd have this like mom and son discussion, which I think every family should have about everything in their lives. That's why having two parents together and a whole family together that communicate about what's going on in their family and through life, I think it makes the family very strong, and I really love that about my family, including my dad. But she found out that it was schizophrenia just by all the symptoms and things like that. I think she was in the library for months trying to find out what it was, but he's never been officially deemed schizophrenic. You know, he could be paranoid delusional, he could be schizophrenic, he could be bipolar, but all we know is that there were multiple personalities involved. There was fits of violence, there was screaming, there were trances, there was catatonic stages, there were times there was paranoia, there was, I mean, every symptom you can imagine as far as that kind of mental illness was in my dad. And we never ever knew what it would be. And because we didn't know exactly why, and we didn't have the money to go to the doctor like other people did, you know, that's the honest truth. And, you know, we were able to get some medicines for him every once in a while, which would help, but, you know, it would put him in these different weird states that, you know, were at times more depressing to see him in than his schizophrenic rants. And I don't think it started to really get violent until he started to go out into the streets, you know, and bring it into the neighborhood. I often thought that that my dad, because he was in an environment that he wasn't happy in, would almost trigger these different rages. And it was not a pretty place. I don't think people understood what we were going through. I don't think people in the neighborhood knew. You know, everybody in the neighborhood knew that my dad wasn't right, and everybody felt, I didn't know that people really felt bad for us until one of the neighbors actually came over and asked if we were doing okay. And that was after my dad had been, you know, taken away in a police car. And she came over and asked if we were okay. And I just remember saying, yeah, and then she left. And I remember staying there by myself for a while. And, you know, my mom showed up. Actually, our auntie showed up to come over and take care of us while nobody was there. And then eventually my mom showed up. So it was a struggle on top of a struggle.